how to find that perfect Grand Prairie home for sale, or better yet, how to buy that perfect Grand Prairie home for sale is what we're going to cover today. We're going to go into real estate prices in Grand Prairie. We're going to go into the property taxes, which are super important. We're going to do a deep dive on the motivation to move, things to consider, and also go into a property and look at it from the pictures perspective, from the details, and also do some financing options for you. And all of that's going to revolve around Grand Prairie. So if you're looking to buy a house in Grand Prairie and make it as stress-free as possible, you're going to want to check out this video. And our audio is working correctly. So let's get right into it. Grand Prairie is on the mind and on the... Is my shirt that wrinkled? Okay, that's embarrassing. I took that out of the dryer, and I thought dryers was supposed to make it not wrinkled. But here we go. That's unfortunate. So let's get past this shirt and let's get into some Grand Prairie real estate. All right, so let's start off where a lot of our journeys begin, and that is in the online portal. So this is here. The website is Jaime Resendiz.exprerealty.com, which is directly tied to the MLS. Now, if you're accustomed to Zillow, Trulia, Realtor.com, whatever interface you prefer, stick with it. That's going to be okay. But here, if you don't have one, I encourage you to check out my particular website, which is directly tied into the MLS and gives you the most updated information that you could ask for. All right, so we're going to look at Grand Prairie. We're going to only think Grand Prairie thoughts from here moving forward. And we see there's 494 properties for sale at an average price point of $407,000. Now, this does include everything. This includes commercial. This includes condos and leases and everything in between. So we're going to take those out, and we're going to look at the real estate that's available for sale right now in the city of Grand Prairie. Now, when you're looking to purchase a home, regardless of where it is, but in this particular case, we're talking about Grand Prairie, we need to take into consideration the location, which directly impacts the commute that you have. So number one thing that we look for is the commute. If you need to get to a place consistently, Monday through Friday, then more often than not, you're going to need to be a little bit closer to that area. Eli, what's up? Thanks for dropping by. Good to see you. How is everything? Thanks for coming through. So the commute is going to be super, super important. Now, when it comes to the location and really the commute that comes along with it, you're not going to find a better option than Grand Prairie. It's so centrally located. A lot of the individuals that are looking to work in Dallas or have a job in Dallas do find their way over here to Grand Prairie because they want to be in the thick of things, right in the middle between the DFW Metroplex, at least the southern part of the area. So commute is the first consideration, whenever you're looking for a place to live. The second consideration that comes up is the community. What type of lifestyle are you looking for? Do you need to be close to your church? Do you need to be close to the restaurants that you go to frequently? Do you need coffee shops? Do you need a lake lifestyle? What is it that you're looking for? There's a ton of opportunity in the entire city of Grand Prairie. So it's not going to be a big issue. It just depends on what type of lifestyle you're looking for. So again, what type of community do you need around you? So that's the second C. And the third C has to do with the cost. What's the budget? What budget are we looking for? So if a certain city checks off your commute, it checks off your community, but it doesn't check off the cost, you might as well go find another property, might find another city to go to, because it's not happening if we can't afford it. If it's not within the budget, if it's not within the cost that we can shoulder, then it's not going to be our city, right? I'm not telling you anything that we don't know, but until we see and answer those three C's, answer those three questions for ourselves, commute, community, and cost, becomes a little bit more challenging to find a home. You could spend your entire day, entire week, entire month looking at properties all over the DFW Metroplex, but you're going to get frustrated because you're just going all over. There's some pros over here, there's some cons over here. You're getting confused with what city offers what. It just becomes more of a challenge for you to purchase a home. So when you answer those three questions for yourself, you're going to find your home buying journey goes so much smoother. All right, so with that being said, let's look at some real estate and get into an actual into some actual numbers of what it would cost for us to purchase the real estate here in Grand Prairie. Again, we are looking for that perfect home in Grand Prairie, and one of the things that we needed to do is just answer those three questions: the commute, the community, and the cost. But now let's look at the real estate that's available to us in the city of Grand Prairie. So we have the least expensive home right now in the city is $110,000. That is the least expensive home. Now, as we go, we see that there's 5 total, 5 homes available for sale under $200,000. Now, most of these I can see that most are going to be set up for a sold as is investor special or fixer upper. So this one even calls it out fixer upper. These are going to be homes that you're going to be purchasing not with the intent of moving in immediately. You're going to be purchasing with the intent of either fixing them up and then moving in if this is going to be your primary residence. But most of the options when it comes to these homes, it's going to be buying them up and fixing them and putting them back onto the market. In the $200,000 price point, you see the properties get a little bit larger and a little bit more updated. Up here in the 200,000s. Now you still are going to see some fixer uppers. You're still going to see some investor specials here, but now you're starting to see homes that are a little bit more ready to go for you to buy and move right on in. So this one looks to be a little bit more updated or has been rehabbed already. So all the homes that you're seeing, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times 4, 24. All the 24 homes that you have seen so far here in the first page of Grand Prairie is under $300,000. So we're going to get right into $300,000 mark right through here. And you still see at this point, there's about 50 homes that are under $500,000. So I keep saying 500, under $300,000. And there's 276 homes available for sale in Grand Prairie. So this gives you an idea of the inventory, gives you an idea of the opportunities that you're looking for if your budget is within $300,000 and you like the location because of the commute, the community, and the cost that that you can take on with the purchase of your home. Now let's go to the extremes before we kind of back our way into the averages before we do the breakdown. Let's see what luxury real estate in Grand Prairie is all about. So you see up here the most expensive home for sale right now in the city of Grand Prairie is $1.4 million, which is a massive home of 5,593 square feet. Now we're not going to go through and look at this property in much detail, but I just want to see what numbers we're looking at. So we have a 1.4 million asking price. We see 7 bedrooms. We see 6 full baths. You have 5,590, almost 5,600 square feet, and it's on 1/3 of an acre. Cool looking house. All right, so we're not gonna look at this in detail at the moment. In fact, we're not gonna look at this beyond what you just saw. Just wanted to see what the luxury price points were here in Grand Prairie, and you see there's 2 homes over $1 million, and the other homes that are hovering into the higher $750 to $1 million mark, they're all new construction. So that's new build, new build, new build, new build, new build, new build, new build. So outside of these legacy properties down here, the more luxury price point is coming in from a new construction perspective. So that's pretty cool. All right, so let's go back into the averages, or roughly the averages, so we can do a breakdown on the city, so we can look at some numbers when it comes to Grand Prairie. I do like this house, so we're actually going to go with this one. I don't think we need to look at any others. That's the one that I want to do the breakdown on. Why? Because I'm a sucker for aerial photography. That's the only reason. 415,000. Ooh, this one looks good. This would also be nice. Maybe this one, if I saw the property, it might make more sense. So we're looking at this property being $416,000, 2,300 square feet, 4 bedrooms, 2 bath. Let's see. Let's pretend to purchase this property so we can go through the loan options that we have available to us. So this is going to give us a good breakdown of what this expense would, how much this would cost us. So before we get into the details, similar to you, again, whenever you're looking at a property, in the either the MLS, or if you're on Zillow, if you're on Trulia, wherever you happen to be, you look more at the pictures first, and then you get into some details, right? So you have your basic parameters already set up, you have your basic search already ready to go, and then you start getting into the details as soon as your eye has, there's enough that meets your eye to where you think, okay, well, let's look at some of these details, because it has a lot of the things that I was looking for. So similar here, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to go and look at the higher resolution images and see what we can find. Now, I do like the fact that this is a corner lot, so this lets me know that there's probably either a fifth or a fourth of an acre. It's going to be on that scale because of where it happens to be situated. So you have some mature trees back here. I see from where I'm looking, the fence could use a little bit of work, just a bit of work, but we're okay. As far as the lawn, it's relatively well maintained. You have some weeds here and there, but we're not going to be super critical, especially if you got to see my lawn. I am not one to cast stones. But the reason I do call out these particular items is because whenever you're looking to purchase a home, any context, any little subtle hint is very valuable for you to know. Why? Well, because whenever you go and look for a home, you're going to spend 30 to 45 minutes looking at the property before you are essentially committing to make a purchase. Now, I know it sounds rushed, and in some cases it is. But you're not going to get too much more than that. Where you're going through property after property after property, and then you find one that you want to make an offer on, then you get a suggestion on what the offer should be, and then you're submitting an offer. So yes, you can come back later for a second showing and a third showing, but oftentimes a lot of as you're going through the journey of purchasing a home, you're going to find yourself making a decision based off of a 30 to 45 minute viewing window. Now again, I'm expressing that because there are some comments that you're going to hear me say throughout this breakdown of this particular city, not to be a jerk, not to be derogatory, not to be a critic, but these are some points that I myself would look at and consider as I'm looking to purchase a home, just to give you some insights as to the things that I look for. Because again, the time that I have to review a property whenever I'm purchasing and whenever my clients are purchasing, it's not as much as you would think. You're not spending days and days and days deliberating. This is based off of more of a snap judgment call. I know it sounds weird when we're talking about a $500,000 property or $416,000, but that's the reality. And the second reason that you're going to hear me critique it a little bit more, just point out a few things that might seem a little bit like of an armchair quarterback, is because the small things really give you some insights into the bigger things, the larger things. So something as simple as how well the yard has maintained, well, that kind of gives you an idea of possibly, not always, but possibly how well the inside was taken care of. How the major things like the water heaters, the foundations, the roofs, the HVAC units, how those were taken care of, right? Joe, what's up? I love these videos. I'm learning so much. Hey, I appreciate that, man. Thank you, Joe. Where are you from, Joe? Are you in the area? That made my morning, and this morning was challenging, so I appreciate that. So again, those two things are the reasons that you're going to hear me say some certain things that might come across a little bit rude. Now, it's not permission for me to be rude, but just, again, giving you those insights. One, you don't have that much time to analyze a property when you're going and looking at property. And then two is because when it comes to the small things, they really are huge. They can lead to some huge indicators of the bigger things, right? So let's get into it. I know I'm beating that horse to death, so let's get into the rest of it. All right, so this is more of a critique right out of the gate. I said I was going to be such a either this property, I don't know who took pictures, but the fact that the lights weren't even on for this opening shot here is challenging. So I know they suckered me in with that arrow footage, so I was expecting some high expectations, but they were quickly shot down by this image of a door frame or half a door frame. Now I'm going to put the fault here on a little bit on the listing side, and also this is the listing side all together. So this light should have been on, And I mean, you have some beautiful hardwood floors down here that seem to be hard. That is hardwood, I know, hand scraped hardwood floors. Oh, we did ourselves such a disservice by not turning on the lights. How dare we? So this is the entrance. Right off to the right, we have the dining room, and it looks like a really good dining room. And we love taking pictures of corners here, apparently. So, okay, we have an office, which appears to be. This might be on the. I shouldn't say this. This should not be. This is not like. Here I am so gossipy. They have a McDonald's All-American in here. That is top tier. That is incredible. Good for them. All right, so I'm gonna move forward real quick. All right, so this is the entrance. You have on the right hand side, you have your dining area. On the left hand side, you have your office, which I like. Guys, I should not be doing this, but look, did this person go to the NBA? Oh my gosh, I'm discrediting myself so much. I'm a sports fan, so this is pretty cool. Shout out to homeowners, and also consider taking better pictures. Not the homeowners, but the listing agent. Anyway, let's continue because I might need to abort this review because this is not going incredibly well. All right, I do like the design. I mean, as far as the updates and the subtle things that they've added to this property do make it unique, and these are unique in the good way. When when you have when you see an ugly kid, you're like, oh, that's a unique look, and because you can't say they're ugly. In this particular case, this is unique in the good way. The additions that have been made to it are actually, in my mind, they're value add. I know they're special taste, but they're value add to where a wall, something like this, a simple wall like this, and then also the accent over here, these type of walls, those actually look incredibly good. Very well done. Great taste. All right, so let's continue going. All right, so we have the kitchen. I love these videos. I'm learning so much. Can you do Hazlet or Saginaw next? We're looking to buy a 4-bed, 3-bath in a range of $350. You're going to find so many options. You're going to find so many options in Hazlet or Saginaw. Let me see which videos we've already done. I don't think we've done those. But because you're here and you gave me a really good compliment at the beginning, Joe, let's do this. Let me ask my crew real quick who sets me up for success. I'm going to ask them just for you. Just for you. What did we say? Saginaw and Hazlet. North Richland Hills, Grand Prairie, Colleyville, okay, so North Richland Hills was next. Let's go. Arvin, can we do Saginaw and Hazlet next in our live streams, please? All right, so I just messaged my crew. Tomorrow I'll go live again, but then Wednesday and Thursday I am in Orlando, so I'm giving a talk to the National Association of Realtors, the Florida side, so the Florida Association of Realtors. So I'm giving a talk there. So I'll be out of commission starting Wednesday and Thursday, but I'll be back on Friday to start our normal live streams. So tomorrow we'll probably end up knocking out Hazlet and or Saginaw, but I do commit that to you, Joe. Thanks for commenting. So again, any questions, comments, concerns, please feel free to drop them in the chat. We can get to them. All right, so let's continue going down this tour here. I do see I'm just a sucker for maybe it's because I like blue, but I do like the upgrades that they have done and the unique look that actually will either add value or at least retain the value to where you don't see all of these different just over the top pretty ugly upgrades. This has none of that. Now here's the thing. Now whenever you're putting your property out to market, they love blue here. some consideration in the near future would be to neutralize it a little bit, so provide a neutral color. So a listing strategy that we go through sometimes with the homes that we put out to market is whenever we're showing a home, we do offer to do some paint credit. So we do offer to, if we kind of overdid it in some windows, in some rooms, then we do offer some paint credit just in case, as opposed to guessing what neutral color or what color to paint. Out of a favor to potential home buyers, we do make it known that we are willing to do a credit for whomever is looking to purchase at a fair price that will help them out from the painting in whatever color they want. Now, something that comes to mind right out of the gate is here. So either there was some water leakage at some point, or this kind of over flooded a little bit, but I do see some of that water be reflected all the way throughout. So that is a consideration. That's something that does come up. And it could have come from the hot tub as well. And I see some water over here as well, some water damage. All right, so I know it sounds pretty critical, but these are things that I look for whenever I'm assessing properties, either for myself and or our clients, as we get through and start looking for homes in an intentional way. Now, this has been updated, has been upgraded, where you have a bathtub and a standing shower. Now, again, the pictures here, I'll stop commenting about the pictures, just comment about the property itself. You have some large windows over here. This is a huge sectional. I mean, a massive sectional. So this gives you an idea of the size of the room. Over here, this is either a library and or the entertainment center. So this is something I used to have at my previous home, where the entertainment center was off to the side, which was a little bit interesting. So I'm wondering if this is the First Texas Homes build, because, oh no, it is a kind of like a little library setup. So, okay, my apologies. This is not going to be a First Texas home build. You have the fireplace here. All right. So you have the living room towards the back. All right. So I do like this shot. This gives you an idea of how long, or just how long the property is from front to back. You have a little dog over here. And then your fence. Again, the fence is something that you would need to be replacing here within the next 3 to 5 years. In some areas are a little bit more beat up than others. Now, this is the reason I suggest this more than I typically would, because again, it's got some room to run. It's not falling over today. But the reason I suggest an upgrade in fence sooner rather than later is because it's a corner unit. It's a corner lot. So here, see here, you had the dog running out here to anybody that was walking around the fence. It probably got probably scared a few children along the way as the dog was running through. Nothing wrong with pets, but just there's some assumptions and this is pretty evident. So again, going back to my recommendation is, yes, this fence looks like it has some room to run, and it definitely does. But one of the reasons that I suggest that you update the fence a little bit quicker and a little bit more often in the corner units, or in the these units that are more to the fences, because you want to one, for privacy, but also for safety, where you don't want too many gaps and holes kind of seen. Just it's too easy for people to hop the fence. Now, I'm not trying to scare anybody, but I'm just giving you the real life feedback that I personally have, and also that I get from my clients all the time. I do like the updates of the inside of the house. I do like the house. If I was looking to purchase a home, I would actually make an offer on this property if I was looking for this type of property. So let's look and see what let's look and see what we can decipher. So similar to how you would look for a property, we took into consideration the commute, the community, and the cost. Those are the 3 things that we took into consideration. Now, we went through the property and we liked a lot of different aspects of it. Now, we didn't necessarily appreciate the quality of the pictures, but that's beside the point. Now what we're going to do is we're going to actually look at the details to see what we can do. All right, so welcome home. A charming brick facade welcomes you to this beautiful property, perfectly situated in an oversized corner lot. Yep, this 3-bedroom, 2-bath plus office home is light, bright, and move-in ready. Upon entry, you'll immediately notice the updated wood flooring. Okay, that carries throughout the main living areas. Oversized chef's kitchen features stainless appliances, granite countertops, tile backsplash, custom cabinetry, and a brand new island with butcher block countertops. Those are really cool. I really appreciate the butcher block parts. The master suite is a true oasis with a wall of windows in the bedroom, custom built-ins in the closets, and a tasteful bathroom renovated that is sure to please. Other features include 2-car garage with AC. Oh, okay, that is unique. Massive fireplace in the living room, solar panels, low electricity bills, already installed Tesla charger, fenced-in yard, and no HOA. Solar panels are paid off. Secure your new home today. Now, again, we're actually getting ready to list a solar panel property. We make it a point. You can kind of see it now as soon as it was called out. We make it a point with all of our properties to actually show that in the pictures. So we make it a point that we actually include the solar panels, because there's some people that absolutely love solar, some people that will accept solar, and there's some people that will never ever buy a solar property. So as to, for them and for us to keep things moving, we do call that out as quickly as possible in the images, because that's where most people go to first. All right, so we're looking at Tarrant County, which makes sense since we're in Grand Prairie. We are looking at a 2002 build, so that is 22 years old, which at this point we're getting into the age of possibly needing a new water heater at this point. Our HVAC unit is probably still kicking. Our original HVAC unit is probably still kicking, but in the very near future, we're going to need to replace it. So here in the next 5 years, I would expect a replacement of an HVAC unit. Taxes, don't get married to this number. This number is what the present homeowners are paying. It's not what you're going to be paying. You're probably going to be paying a little bit more when it's all said and done. We'll do the breakdown so I show you how much property taxes you're going to be paying, but the reason that I call that out right out of the gate is because I don't want you to make your budget based off of this amount, because most likely it will be different for you. I guarantee you that. Actually, it's not most likely, it will be different. So I'll show you how that calculation looks. Price $416,000. Okay, 4 bedrooms, 2 baths on we weren't too far off. We said of either a fifth or a fourth of an acre, so it happens to be in between, so right in between. So we're not too far off. And I'm sorry. I'm looking at square footage. So we were a little bit off. So this is just shy of a fifth. My apologies on that. So a fifth would have been 0.2 acres. This lot looks a little bit larger than 0.17, but okay, so maybe the yard isn't as big as I thought it was. Okay, 0.17 acres, so just shy of a fifth of an acre. And we have 2,300 square feet, single story. All right, so let's keep going. Arlington ISD. So keep in mind, again, this is in Grand Prairie. And we're going to go into Arlington ISD, so that's going to factor into our property taxes. What else? And I believe they already called out that there's no HOA, but we're going to confirm that here. No HOA. Okay. Bowie High School. Okay, that makes sense. Okay. Fair enough. All right, so let's buy this property. Let's go and do the math on it. Let's go here. So everything that you're going to see here is linked down below. This Loan Clarity Advisor is going to give us different financing options, so we can break it down per loan, so we see which one's a bit more advantageous for our specific needs. Again, we're trying to purchase this Grand Prairie home. We've already considered the commute, we've considered the community, we've considered the cost, and we've looked at the property. We like the property, we saw the images, we went into some things that we might have questions over, and then we also looked at the details as to what this property has and does not have. So what we're going to do is we're going to pretend to purchase this property for well, first we're going to go with the exact amounts. Now, if you use estimates, you're going to want to change to Texas, since you're buying in Texas, and you're going to update these sliders left or right. I'll give you a few indicators as we get going, but that's how you work these estimates. We're not going to go based off of estimates because we know how to do the exact amounts, and I'm going to show you how to do that, so you're going to be able to do it as well. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to purchase this property for $416,000. That is what we're going to do, $416,000. All right, so the monthly tax. Here's how we calculate the monthly tax. First, we need to know what property tax rate does Grand Prairie have. So we're going to go to Grand Prairie, Texas property tax rate. So we're just going to go straight to Google. And we're going to try to find that number from their actual website. So we're going to find their website first, and in the event that we cannot find the information on their website, we're going to go to the county website. And in the event that we can't find it there, we're going to go through third-party websites. All right, so here we go. Property tax rates. Dallas County. I'm just these look similar. What are we looking at? Okay, we're gonna use this. All right, so yeah, we're gonna use this. This is gonna be more complete because this one has the ISDs, it has the counties, it has the city, but it doesn't have the community college or hospital network. All right, so this is what we're gonna use. All right, now here's what we need to understand about property taxes in Texas. Well, number one, when you buy a property, you're paying property taxes until the day that you don't own that property anymore. So you're paying property taxes. That's one thing to note. Second thing to note is that in Texas, property taxes are relatively high. Texas has the 6th highest property tax rate in the country, with New Jersey being number 1. So you have higher property taxes in the state of Texas. Now that's a trade-off for not having state income tax, I suppose. And the third thing to understand about here in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex is that there's up to 5 numbers that you need to find with property taxes. So when you're looking for that property tax rate, you're going to look up for up to 5 numbers. So the first 3 are going to be applicable to any city in the DFW Metroplex. It doesn't matter which. So those 3 are going to be the city tax rate, the county tax rate, and the ISD tax rate. These 3 tax rates, these 3 numbers that we're going to add together, exist in every single city in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex without exception. City, county, ISD, those 3. And in many other cities, in most other cities, there's up to 2 additional numbers that we need to factor in our calculation, and that is higher education. So think of community college or hospital network. So think of, if you're in Dallas, think of Parkland. If you're in Fort Worth, think of JPS, John Peter Smith. Right? Did you already make a video on Frisco and Prosper? I have made a video on Prosper and Frisco. Prosper was, I live streamed that one August 14th. So Prosper was already done, and Frisco I did that August 12th, so 2 days before. So August 12th is Frisco. Prosper is August 14th. Great question, Eli. So that's the thing to understand about property taxes. So here, just to kind of summarize it, these tax rates, it'll depend on what county you're in. These are dependent on what county you're in. If you're on the Dallas County side, which is going to be more on the eastern side of the area of Grand Prairie, you're going to go with these numbers here. If you're on the western side of Grand Prairie, you're going to be over here on the Tarrant County side, right? So here you're going to add these together to come up with one number. So let's pretend we're on the Dallas County for a second, then we're going to come back to Tarrant. Actually, no, vice versa, because this is in Tarrant. So we're going to only calculate Tarrant. So we have, remember, the city tax rate, which is right here, city tax rate. The county tax rate, we're in Tarrant, so we're going to need to use that. The ISD tax rate. So this particular house, we saw that it was in Arlington ISD right here. So we're going to use that tax rate. We're not going to do Mansfield. We're not going to double dip. That would be way too much. So the ISD tax rate, the higher education tax rate, so Tarrant Community Colleges, and then Tarrant County Hospital, so the hospital network. So we're going to be adding these 5. Well, this one, this one, this one, this one, and this one. We're not going to be doing this one. Now, if we were in Dallas County, we would be using this one. And notice that the city of Grand Prairie has Grand Prairie ISD. The Dallas County has Grand Prairie ISD. Tarrant County does not have Grand Prairie ISD. So that's pretty interesting. So we're going to add these top 5 numbers together. So we're going to put 0.66 plus 0.1945. Oh, I messed that up. 0.66 plus 0.1945 plus 0.1945 plus 0.1121 plus 1.1156. That gives us a property tax rate of 2.27%. Or we can up it 2.28%. Now, to give you ranges in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, on the lowest end, you have about 1.8 property tax rate. And on the higher end, you're looking at 3%. So in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex of all the cities here, on the low end, you're looking at 1.8. On the high end, you're looking up to 3%. So here's right towards the middle, a little bit favoring the lower side, so 2.28. So what we're going to do now is we're going to say that our property tax rate is 2.28%. So we're going to multiply that. So we're going to put 0.0228. Remember, this could all be done via estimates if you want, but I'm doing exact amounts. So I'm multiplying 0.0228%, which is the percentage version, and I'm going to multiply that times 416,000. So the market value of the home. I'm not multiplying it times the assessed value, which is going to be lower. So I'm going to get a more conservative number. And this number is going to be $9,484, which here their unexempted taxes are about $9,000. So what this tells me is that they probably didn't protest property taxes aggressively enough. If this value is true, if this value of $416,000, if this home is actually valued at $416,000, like from a market value, and it's not overpriced, this tells me that they did not, the homeowners did not protest their property taxes enough, because that is too high of a number for that to be the case. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to divide this by 12, and I got the $790 as my monthly property taxes. That's what I'm paying in property taxes on a conservative number. And this is actually going to be lower. The actual property tax is going to be lower because I almost guarantee you, actually I can guarantee you based off of that number that I just saw, that the assessed value is lower. So the assessed value is what the county appraisal district actually multiplies the interest rate to. The assessed value is going to be lower than the market value. Market value right now we're pretending is 416. The assessed value, I guarantee you, is lower. Also, there's probably some exemptions on this property, like a homestead exemption that has already been applied. So this 490 is actually on the higher end. I would estimate that property taxes on this is probably going to be around high 6s, low 7s. No, low 7s. I wouldn't see it touching the 6s. All right, so monthly insurance. For the monthly insurance, what we do is just basically a little, we just apply kind of like a little simple formula. And that formula is multiplying the value of the home times 0.75%. So less than 1%. 0.75%. That's going to give us an estimated premium of what homeowners insurance is going to cost us. Now that's just a little I'm not going to say rule of thumb because it's not, but that's a quick way for you to estimate and guesstimate how much homeowners insurance actually is going to be. So in order to multiply that 0.75%, what you're going to need to do is put 0.0075. So that's how you do it on the calculator, 0.0075, and multiply that times the value of the home. That gives us your yearly premium of home insurance, and we're going to divide that by 12. So our monthly premium of home insurance is $260. Now, of course, there's other variables that apply to this, but this is just a really good rough and dirty way for you to get a pretty close to accurate amount. HOAs are non-existent for our particular home that we're purchasing here in Grand Prairie that we've been going through here, so we're not going to factor that in. All right, so now we need to get into some loan options. Now, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, please feel free to drop them down in the chat. Also, a like is going to go a long way. It's going to help us reach more people. And I appreciate the heck out of y'all for everybody that's here. As you're coming in, let me know where you're coming in from as well. Are you here local? Are you moving into the area? Are you moving the heck out of the area? Let me know. All right, so we're giving ourselves 3 different scenarios here of ways to purchase this property. We're giving ourselves a conventional 5% down. We're giving ourselves an FHA 5% down, and we're giving ourselves a conventional 20% down option. Now, since we're putting less than 20% down in both of these options, option 1 and option 2, we're paying what's called mortgage insurance. And mortgage insurance is an insurance that the lender puts on you in the event that you default. So it's another way for them to cover their butts in the event that you do not and are not able to cover the mortgage. So not only do they take their property back, or the property that they have a big stakeholder stake in, but they also get to get that safety net of that insurance and you paying the premium. That's interesting, right? So you pay it, they get insurance on you and you pay it. But that's the reality of the situation. So again, if you put less than 20% down, you're on a conventional and on an FHA, you're paying mortgage insurance. Now with conventional, eventually that mortgage insurance goes away. With an FHA, that mortgage insurance stays on that particular loan until you pay it off, until you refinance, or until you sell that house. All right, so what we're going to do now is we're going to put 5% down. So again, conventional 5% down. Now, another thing to note real quick, conventional, the minimum down payment that you can make is 3% down. So you don't even have to put 5%, you can put 3% down. The minimum down payment for an FHA loan is 3.5%, but for our purposes today, we're going to put 5% down. Why is that the case? Well, because most of our clients end up going with 5% down. So I like to simulate it as close to what most of our clients happen to be doing, which if you're watching this video and I sent you this video because you're one of our clients, this is why I did it. To make this as useful for you as possible. All right, the length of our loan is going to be 30 years, 30 years, 30 years. We're going to keep that the same. Interest rate is something that's going to go up hourly. You can check on something today, check on something in the morning, and in the afternoon it's changed, and sometimes it can change drastically depending on when you check. So what we're going to do, depending on when you're watching this video, it doesn't matter. Well, it doesn't matter. It doesn't depend on when you're watching this video. So this could be a week from now, a year from now, or whenever from now. You can do this. What is the interest rate for buying a house? Or something similar to that. Just Google something similar and get to bank rate. And then go down to the bottom where they're going to give you a very current what's going on in the market. As of Monday, so the time of this recording, current interest rate in Texas is 6.63% for a 30-year and a 6.19 for a 15-year. So a 6.63 is the number that we're going to use to base off of our analysis from, because we're pretending to buy this house today. So what we're going to do is 6.63. 6.63. All right, that is our interest rate, and we're even though each loan is going to have a different interest rate, we're going to keep it the same just to try to compare as much apples to apples as possible. But once you get your quotes in, change them to what interest rate you're being quoted, because you might have gone through the FHA scenario and they gave you one rate. You might have also attempted to go down the conventional route and they gave you another rate. So just compare these as they come in. Now, points. What are points? Points is where you're buying down the interest rate. So as an example here, if you get quoted at 6.63%, you could buy down this rate by buying points. And if you were to buy 1 point, don't think that it reduces it by 1 percentage point. No, that's I wish. It's not that drastic. Here, if you were to buy 1 point, what I do just as a general rule of thumb is I subtract 0.25% from it. So here you're looking at, what's that? 6.4-ish? Is that right? 6.4, 6.38, 6.4-ish. That's just the general rule of thumb. I essentially I pretend that's a fourth of a point. So that is what I could get down this interest rate to, and I can buy more points and all that fun stuff. But one of the things that we need to ask ourselves is, well, how much are points? What's the expense? The easiest thing to do is multiply times the loan value. So multiply 1% times the loan value. So if you borrowed, let's say, for the sake of an easy number, $400,000. If you borrowed $400,000 there, multiply 1% times that, and it's $4,000. So for you to buy 1 point, it would cost you $4,000 on this particular loan. Now we're not going to buy points here because they would add too many layers of complexity for what we're trying to do. But that's how you do it. If you're buying points, you would put how much it cost you there and what the interest rate would go down to. Now, lender fees vary all across the board. So lender fees are something that I also encourage you as you are going through your home buying journey, whether it's with us here at the DFW Homeowner Group or with anybody else, for you to price shop and see what type of fees, what type of interest, what type of options are you being presented from different lenders, whether you go with Chase, Wells Fargo, Allied First Bank, Rocket Mortgage, whatever the case may be. There's so many different lenders out there. Put the lenders here and compare apples to apples. So we're not going to fill these in for the sake of time and also just the complexity aspect. I encourage you that once you download this tool, this is linked down below, or just go to winthehouseyoulove.com to get the tool, this tool right here that you're seeing that was created by Kyle Seagrace with Win the House You Love. You're going to be able to calculate this on your own. Now, again, we talked about mortgage insurance a couple of minutes ago, and because we did not put 20% down on this option and we did not put 20% down on this option, we're paying what's called mortgage insurance. With the conventional, eventually we'll get rid of this. So in about 10 years, we'll get rid of it. With an FHA, we're never going to get rid of it. It's going to be there for life. The life of the loan, that is. Extra payments. Now, if you want to make some extra payments per month, you can absolutely make that calculation here. If you want to do some lump sums, you also can compare what that would do for your loan along the way. So if you want to do like a low interest payment right now on a conventional, low down payment on a conventional, and then in the future add a huge lump sum to where you can eventually get rid of the mortgage insurance a little bit quicker, you can make that calculation here to see how much it saves you. But with that being said, let's look and compare what the 3 loans that we've already done, what that does for our particular cost, how much it's going to end up affecting our pocketbook. After 10 years, this is just after 10 years, if you would have gone with the conventional loan of 20% down as opposed to an FHA loan, it would have saved you $68,000. It would have cost you, it would have saved you $68,000 if you would have gone with this conventional 20% down. Now, over the life of the loan, it would have saved you $136,000 over the life of the loan with this conventional 20% down. And this is a representation of what it looks like from through a graph perspective and the breakdown. So if you look at, let's look at it after 30 years. After 30 years, the cost on that 5% down would have been $539,000 just in loan costs. We're not even talking principal, just in loan costs. FHA would have cost you $571,000, and then a conventional 20%, it would have cost you $434,000. And you see the breakdown up here. So with an FHA, you're looking at a 1.725% fee, a financing fee. On top of that, you're paying mortgage insurance, and you're paying mortgage insurance for the life of the loan, plus all the interest. Here with your conventional loan, you're paying mortgage insurance, which we knew we were paying until we got 20% equity in that home. So over the years, and I'll let you know when the mortgage insurance actually drops off, which means that we would have paid about $23,000 in mortgage insurance and this amount in interest, which is what we ultimately ended up paying. And then the conventional, since we're not being assessed that financing fee and we're not paying mortgage insurance because we put 20% down, our only cost here was more on the interest side, and of course the lender fees and points that we didn't add here, but the interest would have been $434,000. Now here's the reality of the situation. I know this is after 30 years, and you can see what that looks like after 10 years. how much it would cost you in those 10 years. And you can toggle this left and right. But I know the reality of the situation where we don't all have $83,000 to put down on the purchase of this home. If you're in a position to do that and you have nowhere else to park your money, or you would rather park your money here knowing that you're going to be able to save this money and, you know, get and not only save this mortgage insurance fee and all that fun stuff, but also get into a vehicle that will continue building your wealth, then awesome. Make that 20% down. If you're not able to, then you can get into this loan. You can get into this property with this type of loan for as little as 3% down, 3.5% down. With the conventional, you can get into this particular property, into this loan for as little as 3% down. Don't let that 20% not having that stop you from purchasing a home if you want this home, right? The mortgage insurance sometimes scares us away, us having to pay an additional expense. And while, yeah, it does suck, what also sucks is being homeless. No offense. But again, sometimes we make too much, we put too much credence on needing to have that 20% down or trying to avoid that mortgage insurance, when in reality, it's not as bad as one would think. All right, so let's look at the monthly payments. Let's look at year one of monthly payments, what that would look like. If we put 5% down on the purchase of this home, again, Grand Prairie, the home that we're purchasing is $416,000. The conventional 5% would be almost $3,800. Well, it would be $3,779. FHA would have been $3,790, and then conventional would have been $3,182. These would be our monthly payments. Now you're going to notice a commonality between these three loans, and the commonality here is going to be that the principal gets such little amount versus the interest of your payment. Meaning, whenever you make your payment, most of it goes to the interest. Such little amount goes into your principal, and that's on year one. And it's going to be the same across the board, regardless of the type of loan that you get. You're going to be able to appreciate that on the amortization table down here. So when you go to conventional 5% or any one of these loans, you can see the amortization table. The amount that you're paying in terms of the payment that goes to principal and interest is going to stay the same. Property taxes and all that stuff, that's something different. But the principal and interest is going to stay the same. But what actually gets applied to principal and interest is going to change. So as you make more and more payments, you're going to see that this column right here that goes to principal is going to continue to rise, and this column right here that goes to interest is going to continue to decline, to where there's a break-even point, not a break-even point, there's an inversion that happens, that eventually you start paying more to principal than to interest, and then eventually you pay it off, which would be a fantastic day. So I wanted to make that distinction, because sometimes it's a little bit hard to comprehend. How do I still owe so much money after 10 years? Well, that's because of how this works. All right. And then taxes. This is why it's so important that we understand how property taxes work, so we get an actual appropriate number to budget into our equation. Because if we undershoot it by $200, that makes a drastic difference, at least for our budgeting purposes. Homeowners insurance, the monthly premium and estimates $260, and this is the same across the board. It doesn't matter how you finance it. Mortgage insurance goes back to our conversation earlier of conventional having mortgage insurance and FHA having mortgage insurance, because we didn't put 20% down. But notice what happens after 12 years. That conventional 5% down eventually doesn't have any mortgage insurance, because you now own over 20% of that property. So you're going to want to play around with this monthly payment calculator. And equity, at any point in time with this tool, you get to see how much of the property you own. Now, here's where the biggest distinction is, and why I make the distinction up here of, how much is going to principal, how much is going to interest. You're going to notice that after 10 years, you own, with a conventional 5%, you own 19% of the property. And you own 18% here with an FHA, 5% down. After 20 years, so 2/3 of the way home, literally 2/3 of the way home of this loan, you still don't even own half of it. Yes, with the conventional, because you put 20% down, but with these two loans, like, you would think that within at least 2/3 of the way home, with only a third of the way remaining, so 30 years, you would think that you own at least 50% of your home, which you don't. The reason being goes back to the amortization table that we talked about earlier. The reason being is because for the first 20 years, the first 10 years, the first years of this loan, you're paying more into the interest, so you're paying more of the interest than the actual principal. So until you start eating away at the principal, the interest is still going to be relatively high. So the actual change, the actual time where you're paying more to principal than to interest doesn't happen until a month. What is this? Is it this month? This is less than that. This is more than that. 235 months later, which is, don't get me doing math. I know there's a simple equation here, but I don't see it. Divided by 12. Almost 19 years later. So almost 20 years later. 19.6 years later. Right? So it's not until basically year 20 that you start paying more in principal than into interest. So that's why you don't own at least 50% of your property, even though you've already been making payments for 20 years of the 30 years that remain. Does that make sense? I kind of butchered that the takeaway at the end, but hopefully that makes sense. Loan details. The only thing I want to bring to your attention here is that after 10 years and 5 months on paper, your mortgage insurance goes away with this conventional 5% down. That's on paper. This is not factoring in the value of the home increasing, which is called appreciation. So this is just on paper of when it actually goes away. Now, one of the questions that comes up all the time is, since you have a housing need, you have the option of buying or renting. Right? So that's that whole, well, should I rent or should I buy? Does it make sense for me to buy right now? Does it make sense for me to whatever? There's situations and scenarios when one makes sense over the other and vice versa. The answer is not always buy. I understand that my peers, other real estate agents out there are always, the next best time to buy is today. Right? Like you wish you would have bought 5 years ago, but today is actually the best time that you can buy. Or you're throwing your money away if you're renting, or you're paying somebody else's mortgage if you're renting, and all that stuff. Almost villainizing people that are renting. Everybody's situation is different. So what I want to show here is just some math on how on what the actual true cost of home ownership is versus renting. And in some cases, again, it might make more sense for you to be a renter. It depends on your situation. Some cases, it might make more sense for you to purchase, but it's your decision to make. So what we're going to do here is we're going to pretend that we buy this house, and after 10 years, we're going to sell it. So we're buying this Grand Prairie house at $416,000, and we're going to sell it in 10 years. Now, we're going to assume that the home appreciates at a modest 3% year over year, and that's very reasonable. It's happened in the past. It will happen in the future. Averaging at 3% is not an obscene number. We're not saying that we're going to appreciate 20 to 30% like we did from 2021 to 2022. That was unreasonable. That was unattainable. Here we're assuming a modest 3% appreciation rate, so the value of the home going up. Cost to sell after these 10 years, we're going to say that it's going to cost us 6% to sell this property. Of this 6%, we're looking at to cover title work. We're looking to cover real estate agent fees. We're looking to cover taxes that we owe. Whatever the case may be, we're looking as that cost to sell be 6%. Tax increase per year. We're going to say that property taxes are going to rise, which oftentimes do. So we're going to actually go up here to 3%. We're going to say that taxes are going to increase 3% year over year. And we're also going to say that homeowner's insurance is also going to rise at 3%. You can play around with these numbers which way or the other. If you don't believe me on property taxes and you want to bake in some more, awesome. If you think that I'm undershooting insurance because of, for whatever reason, increase it more. You have this flexibility. So after 10 years, you see that the home has appreciated the same amount. It doesn't matter how you financed it. It will appreciate it the same amount, that 3% year over year. Cost to sell is going to be the same. Again, we budgeted 6% to sell this house. Our loan cost is going to be different because we financed ourselves in a different way. Conventional 5%, it cost us $267,000 for those 10 years. FHA cost us $274,000 for those 10 years. Conventional cost us $206,000 over the same 10 years. Property taxes, we paid on property taxes. Doesn't matter how we financed. Homeowners insurance, we also paid that every single year. So for those 10 years, this is how much it costs us for home insurance. So the appreciation is a positive, so that's a plus. Minus this, minus this, minus this. This means that our cost of ownership for this property under a conventional 5% was $302,000. FHA was about $309,000. Conventional was $241,000. This was our housing cost as if we had lived in this property for 10 years and we had purchased it. We factored in the appreciation and the cost to get out of that home. Now, for a comparison, if you were paying rent on a similar property of this size and value in the area that you're looking for, you're looking at $24.27 per month with an annual increase of 3% per year, would cost you $333,000 to live over those same 10 years. This is how you do that comparison. Now, after 10 years, you may be thinking, hey, you know what? That's not too different. In some cases, I agree with you. But when you're gonna really see the difference is after you go into, let's say, year 24 as an example. If you live in this property, you're going to see the difference of how much it costs you to be in that home versus how much it costs you if you were renting after these years of these housing years, right? So you're still going to have a housing need whether you're renting or buying, assuming that you plan to live 24 and God willing you do live 24 more years. You're going to have a housing need. So you get to decide, do I want to rent or do you want to buy? But that's your personal decision to make. This just kind of breaks down the numbers of what it would actually cost you to own and also what it would cost you to rent over those same 24 years. Hopefully this was valuable in some way. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, let me know in the chat. There's a video that you want me to make next. As you saw there, we already kind of booked ourselves with Hazlitt and Saginaw coming up next for Joe. So if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, let me know in the chat. If we can serve you, if you're looking to buy or if you're looking to sell, we would love to support you in any way that we can. Our contact information is down below, and I'll see you on the next one. Thank you. Bye.